What it is, what it do, cyber world. It is your girl, the one and only Ash Said It. AshSaidIt.com, AshSaidIt.com. Welcome back to the Ash Said It Daily Podcast Show. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for continuing to support the movement, which is AshSaidIt.com. We're getting a little bit of a facelift, so if you've been to the site lately, you'll see some little things moved around and some color changes and things of that way. It's, it's a work in progress. We're working some things out. But today, I am thrilled to have one of my favorite comedians, an ATL favorite here, comedian, author, teacher, and a whole bunch of everything else, Joel Byars.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here. Ash said it.
Oh, that's the only reason why, because Ash said it. It's got to be true.
Already.
Well, thank you so much, Joel.
I'm so honored to be on here. You've had so many good guests, and you're a great interviewer, so I'm definitely looking forward to this.
Oh, well, I appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate all the love and support. As I know, you've been a busy, busy man lately. Very, very busy and doing so much stuff. But for the listeners that are not really familiar with you, Joel, let them know, where are you from? Where do you represent?
Oh, well, I represent the A all day.
All day, every day. That's what I'm talking about. See, ATL representative.
I should clarify. I'm not an OG ATLian. I was born in Summerville, Georgia,
okay,
which is pronounced Sumville for people who don't know. So I've been doing that. I moved here after kindergarten. I moved down closer to Atlanta. Because up there was a lot of meth. Atlanta has Adderall, so that's, a good transition.
That's a good, yeah.
My mom wanted us to have our tea.
Yeah, it makes a difference. It does.
But, I love the city of Atlanta, and I love what you're doing in capturing people's stories from here, and it's such a good time to be living in Atlanta, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a Hollywood. This is a Hollywood of the South. They want to claim that. Anything that you want to do, you can pretty much figure it out here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we just this past year we hit over like $9 billion in money from the movie industry. I think it was the most of any city. Yeah,
I believe it is, and shout out to that tax break, because that's definitely been helping a lot of studios.
Yeah. Already.
Absolutely. All right, Joel. So, when you were a kid, what did you think that you were going to be when you grew up?
It was always comedy in the back of my head. I had always thought I had interest in comedy. I thought that's something I always wanted to do. But, as you know, wanting to do something and then actually doing it are two completely different in your life. So it didn't take me until senior year of college, second semester, where, my back's against the wall and I'm about to graduate, and I'm like, okay, am I going to pursue this business degree, or am I going to pursue my instinct and pursue comedy? And it just, when pressure makes diamonds, and I had that epiphany of like, no, it's comedy. That's it.
So what did your friends and family think when you told them, hey, this is going to be my life? Deal with it.
I've actually been very fortunate in having pretty much only supporters. I know they say if you ain't got no haters, you ain't poppin', but I will say that that was a song. You didn't laugh, but that's okay. What I do say is that I do enjoy the haters, but most of it has been support. My mom has pretty much known since I was young that, comedy was something I was going to pursue, and I've always been funny, so it seemed like a natural fit. And, I did have my degree, so I was like, if anything, I have these loans to show for my success.
Yeah.
So, yeah, totally. But it's really been, I feel very fortunate. You hear a lot of people overcoming adversity as far as parents being like, are you sure you want to pursue your dreams? But I've had nothing but support, really.
That's a blessing. That's definitely a blessing within itself, because a lot of people, even some of the big, big name folks, that their families were not behind this dream, this vision. And that's what I tell people all the time on the podcast is a lot of people around you that love you, that want the best for you, they may not see the vision. And that's okay. That's totally fine if they don't see the vision, because as long as you see it and as long as you know what you want to do to accomplish it, that's all that matters. Now, it's...
Yeah, and as long as the intent is the right thing, you're not motivated by something like false. They're like, oh, I want to do this to get rich. As long as it comes from a real and like genuine place, and follow that instinct all the way.
Absolutely. I'm totally in agreement with that. But yeah, I think a lot of people sometimes will get caught up in the, I don't know, just the system of, oh, well, you know, they said that I shouldn't do this, but I should do that instead, or I should do this. And do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy. Do what's in your heart.
Yeah, and it's easy with social media to envy other people and see them posting, and they're like, oh, they have 20,000 followers, but they may have only $10.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind as well, that, you know, social media can be, it can be a distraction. It can really, I mean, it's, you know, it's been linked, people being on social media too much, to depression and stuff, but just use it more as a tool than a toy. And you can really use it to empower yourself and attract people that can facilitate your personal journey.
Absolutely. So, Joel, what would you say was one of your biggest challenges when you started to take your career to the next level?
Definitely, well, without a doubt, the financial, of course, is always there, especially when you're starting out and you're pursuing your dream. Yeah. You know, the big thing you got to remember, especially when you're pursuing something maybe a little bit more predictable, is, you know, you got to fail to fly. So you're going to have those failures. But I was a hotel minibar attendant. I was a dishwasher. You know, I did work at Enterprise for a little while as well, which, you know, was just about, you know, I'd have to be at work by like 7:15. We'd get off work at like 5, and then I would be out doing shows that night, and then be right back up the next day, back on the grind at Enterprise. So I always had that North Star, though, and always knew what I wanted. Right. So everything leading up to it has been completely worth it. And as long as you have that clear vision, the grind is actually the pleasurable part.
Gotcha. What has been the most rewarding part of being a comedian?
Man, there's almost too many to count, because it is what I love to do. Right. And the first thing that comes to mind is really just the people you meet and the impact you have on people. It's so instant. Like, when you go to a comedy show and this thing comes up to you afterwards and it's like, oh man, I was feeling so down today, and then I saw you perform, and it changed my whole month, you know. Or people, oh, I know, so they can relate to a joke you're talking about. Oh, that's my aunt, or whatever. You know, it's really, I think, creating that connection, that genuine connection, because that is something that it can be hard to find, especially nowadays, with us being connected through a screen more than in person. That stand-up is still just raw and right in your face, and I love having that interaction.
Absolutely. And you're not shy at all about talking about, you're not in the least shy at all about talking about social issues, political stuff. How do you feel as far as comics today? Do you feel like comics are somewhat shamed for being open and honest in their acts and their routines?
I think a lot of that buzz is all just like headlines and people looking for things to either complain about, or looking for, you know, clickbait is a big thing. As far as like, this comedian said this and it went crazy. You know, I think overall people more than ever appreciate authenticity. They appreciate the truth. They just appreciate, you know, no filter. #no filter, I think, is what they appreciate as well. So I really believe overall, especially with comedy, it really is almost the last kind of art form we have that maybe hasn't been completely turned into mumbling. So I think it's a better time than ever to be a comedian, I think. I think it is also our responsibility to challenge people, because what I've noticed, and you noticed, and you've heard my material, and developing that material, especially the racial stuff. You know, if I'm this blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy, me even saying the word like Mexican or black, people. I mean, I've noticed just from doing comedy over the years, people will be like, "Wait, what? You better say lives matter after that, or this guy is racist." Like, I've noticed that, but in developing that material, I noticed that even my best material may not started out as being funny, but it started out as either interesting or it started out as getting an emotional reaction, whether it's negative or positive. So even if I'm not making that humor connection, if I'm making any sort of emotional connection, I know I'm on the right track.
Gotcha. So I'm going to ask you about one of your fellow comics. We haven't heard from her much lately as things have kind of calmed down. How did you feel about the whole Kathy Griffin and, you know, the chopping off you know, how did what were your thoughts on that?
The thing, well, first off, no, Kathy, no. But the thing about being a comedian is like, and what I've been saying is like following your instincts, and they call it a sense of humor for a reason. You know, it's like a sixth sense. It is something you just feel more than can really calculate. But, oh no, I mean, it was just a misstep. You know, she just bombed in the worst way possible. And I think somebody of her caliber,
should have
personally, I think, you got to know better at this point. You've been doing comedy as long as she has. She knows where the line is. And holding up the head, even if, like, because a lot of times when you say a joke, like on stage, as soon as you say it, you're like, whoa, I'm never saying that again. That didn't even make sense when it came out of my mouth. But if you're in a photo shoot and you're holding the head, you think at that moment, you're like, you know what, maybe not. Maybe not on this as you're doing it. But that was a very unfortunate event.
It was, because, I mean, regardless of what people's views are, you know, politics go, or whatever the case is, that was just beyond inappropriate, and that was poor taste. Poor taste.
Oh, yeah, regardless of your opinion on Trump or anybody, that, for any human being, is just not,
That is a mess. So with your success, you know, we're going to segue into that. With your success and everything, Joel, and the amount of people that you have come into contact with and gotten advice from, or maybe even given advice to, what advice would you offer to any new up-and-coming comic?
I would say start from a true place. Don't create that habit early on in your comedy career, and then that'll only take you leaps and bounds ahead of people, because a lot of people just start off with comedy and they're like, oh, well, I'll say this joke because it's silly and I think it's funny. But really, and this is what I challenge people in my class, is like, before we even start writing jokes, is like, explore your personal opinions on things, your personal connections on things. Like, free write about, I love this, or I hate this, or I'm confused by this. If you start from a true and authentic place, you can only grow from that. And it's a lot harder to get into that creative process later on, as opposed to starting there. It becomes a much more fertile ground to develop.
Absolutely. Joel Byars, Joel, let everyone know how they can see you next. I know that you're going to be performing, you're going to be teaching, you're going to be doing everything under the sun.
I'm trying out here. My goal is to have a bunch of different branches on my tree, and then as soon as one, leaps up, then he'll take the others with him. A flying tree is what. That's going to be my new hashtag, actually. Shut up. Flyingtree.com. You can catch me out at flyingtree.com. I think Snoop Dogg has that domain name right now. I'll have to hit him up about it. Joel Byars Comedy is the website, and that's really pretty much, that's kind of like my billboard on the internet. On there, you can see links to my podcast. I host a weekly podcast called Hot Breath Podcast. It was voted Creative Loafing's Best of Atlanta. I release a new one every single Monday. It's all about educating and entertaining. I love having super big influential people, whether from comedy or from art or from business. It's really all about just learning and laughing. I teach an 8-week comedy class as well, which is linked on my website. I teach it at Highwire Comedy Company over by Atlantic Station. But that's a fun class I've been doing a couple of years that I've learned just as much as the students have, really, and just getting back to the basics of writing and performing and analyzing comedy. So if you're you're somebody who's performed once and wants to get back into it, or somebody who's been doing it 15 years. I've had everybody from every experience of just a curious, fan to an actual comedian that's been a veteran. So that's really become a passion of mine because I grew up in a house of educators, and I've learned from doing comedy and really exploring myself, like I said, and being authentic to yourself. As I learned, I love teaching as well, and I love comedy. So I've really combine those two in the kind of my Joel Byars comedy brand. So I also did a book called Comics Playbook. It's a writing handbook for comedians if you're not looking to take the 8-week leap, but you still want to, roll your sleeves up on some writing comics. That's linked to my website as well. But the main thing is I like meeting people and I like interacting with people. And the best place to do that is going to be at my show I host every single Wednesday at Java Monkey Indicator. It's a free show. I would love to see people out there. It's never the same twice, I guarantee that. And if you're looking to have a good time on Hump Day, then definitely come see me at Java Monkey on Wednesdays.
Sounds like a plan. I will have to make my way out there.
I gotta breathe. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Sometimes you forget what you're doing until you say it.
You're like, wow. Just reciting that, I think I'm exhausted. I need a break.
Yeah, but I sound successful. This is ridiculous. Wow.
You're a mess. Thank you so much, Joel.
Yeah, it's everything I love, though. I mean, and that's what I would say to anybody, whether you're a comedian or just somebody looking to pursue their dreams. Just make sure it comes from a place of true passion, and the work is going to be worth it.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be worth it. Joel Byars, you guys, go check out the website right now. Joel Byars. Is it joelbyars.com? joelbyarscomedy.com.
joelbyarscomedy.com or joelbyars.com. They both
link up. Gotcha. I'll take you to the same place, the same spot. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for downloading this show. Thank you so very much. Of course, you never know who's going to be on the show. You never know when or how. But keep in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do, you look them square in the face and tell them, don't believe me, just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. All right. I will see you guys. We're going to get that out there. That good energy, Joe. That's what I'm trying to get out there. Trying to make it contagious. You look on the news, you look on CNN, it's crazy stuff going on in the world. Sometimes we just want to laugh. Have some good energy.
Let them use you.
Positivity. I love y'all. Deuces.